So recently I was reading a book, fancy I know, and something in said book piqued my interest. If you've been watching this channel for a little while, you know I'm fascinated by the idea of happiness and mental health and things of that sort. If you haven't been watching this channel for a while, hi, welcome, subscribe. Happiness interests me massively because it's such a dynamic topic and it changes so much for every different person. Everybody has a different opinion, everyone has a different experience, and everyone has a different view generally on happiness, what happiness is and what happiness means to them. And Stephen Bartlett's book, a great read by the way, goes into the idea of happiness in modern society and how we have intrinsic and extrinsic values that drive us through our lives. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Intrinsic values, philosophically, are things that have value of themselves instead of having some sort of external view. Stephen Bartlett looks at it in a slightly more human way, where it's things that have impact on you and value to you yourself without any sort of external validation from somebody else. They're the things that drive you yourself internally without the need for any sort of external validation for what you're doing. Extrinsic values, on the other hand, are the opposite. These are the things that you specifically value because of the external validation that they drive. Fundamentally, anything can be either intrinsic or extrinsic. It depends how you feel inside and how it drives you specifically. As is often the case with my opinions on things, I believe this is a bit of a sliding scale. Things can be more intrinsic than others, things can be more extrinsic than others, and things can have more value to you intrinsically than other things. It's a very non-binary concept. But what's my point? If I were to define happiness, for me it would be a person who focuses on, enjoys, and entertains only the things that are intrinsically valuable to them. They wouldn't worry at all about extrinsicism, yeah, apparently that's a word, because it wouldn't matter to them. The views of other people wouldn't matter to them, and they would only be doing things that they truly valued internally. So all they actually do is worry about the things they truly love, regardless of what anybody else thinks. They don't really care what anybody else thinks. So in reality, while being difficult to nail down, very complex and extremely personal, there is a formula for being happy. So based on that, and I am finally getting to my point, why don't we introspect a lot more than we already do? If there's a formula, in some sense, for your own happiness, why do we not look inside ourselves and ask whether the things we do, whether we do them because we actually love them, or because there's some external influence or dogma impacting our lives? Look at the obvious example, and I hate the fact that I always come back to this, but it is so often true. Social media. Do you truly post on social media because it drives you internally? Do you really just love sharing your life with people around you, your friends and family, the people you love, without any fear of what their reaction may be, or more importantly, the number of them who do react to it? I'm not entirely taking the piss here. I think there are people who do find it intrinsically valuable, but I certainly don't. The only time I get any sort of intrinsic value on social media is when I'm posting on this YouTube channel or posting on accounts related to that, because I aspire to grow, and generally I prefer the idea of sharing the content and creating it than the reaction it actually gets. Well, most of the time. I've made some bad videos. But regardless, we all do it. We all use social media religiously, despite the fact that it's very unlikely that it's intrinsically valuable to you. Interestingly enough, you probably do know, more or less, what your intrinsic values are. You could probably even plot your sliding scale of what's more valuable to you, what's less valuable to you. And given the fact that I've been doing quite a lot of introspection just for this topic in itself, here are my top 4 things that I find are my most intrinsically valuable things. The first one would be playing football. The second one would be spending time with friends, and most importantly, doing activities with them, doing things that I find enjoyable. Thirdly, it would be watching football, so there's a bit of a running theme. And fourthly, it would be learning about something new, something that I'm really interested in, something like quantum physics or psychology or philosophy or anything nerdy like that that I find really fascinating but don't tend to have the brain power to understand. Each of those is less valuable than the last, but they all give me true intrinsic value. I would get value from each and every one of those things regardless of external opinion, whether it's positive, negative, or whether there's no opinion at all. Yet despite that fact, I haven't played football in 7 months, and I spend far less time learning about new things that I'm truly interested in than I should. You know, one thing that I do more than any of those 4 things that I get true intrinsic value from? Scroll through social media. And that's my entire point. So what I urge you to do after this ranty and slightly provocative video is to introspect, to find something that you truly enjoy and just be a bit more self-aware of the things you're actually doing that aren't necessarily valuable to you. And then try and replace one of those things that you may get extrinsic value from with something specific that you get true intrinsic value from. One little change and the inclusion of one thing that gives you truly intrinsic value can make such a massive difference to your happiness and your mental health. So I really urge you to give a bit of introspection a go. If you do, let me know, leave a comment. I'm always interested to hear, and let me know how it goes. If you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe to the Unfold channel for more videos like this every single week. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all very, very soon.